April of 2017, with Gardy announcing that the man dressed in black, seen walking behind Trevor at 4:14 a.m., was the same man that he had spoken to outside of his office. To this day, this man remains unidentified, as does his rationale for waiting outside of Trevor's office and later walking behind him. While one might think that this is merely a coincidence, authorities do not believe so, and this unknown subject is believed to be the primary person of interest in Trevor's still unsolved disappearance. In August of 2017, an informant came forward and told Gardy that Trevor had been murdered by a well-known criminal operating out of the Dublin suburb of Crumlin. This criminal, a member of a local gang, was well known to authorities and immersed in the drug and prostitution trade, which peppered the area near Bagot Street where Trevor was last seen. This informant claimed that the person spotted on CCTV cameras following Trevor was a part of the gang and wanted to gain access to the Bank of Ireland asset management building on that morning that Trevor disappeared. Trevor reportedly had a chance encounter with the man that morning, and this individual then hoped that Trevor might help provide them access to the bank. According to this informant, whose identity remains unknown to the public, this chance encounter ultimately led to Trevor's murder. The informant believed that they may have been buried in the Chapel Lizard area, which is about 8 kilometers away from where Trevor had gone missing, near Phoenix Park. Acting on this information, a massive Gardy search began in Chapel Lizard, a suburb on the western outskirts of Dublin. They kept digging in the area for approximately 6 weeks, but no human remains were recovered during their search, nor was any trace of Trevor Deely. After 2 months, the search was called off, and Gardy declared that a thorough search of the area had not uncovered any fruitful information or evidence. Despite that, authorities believed that the informant they spoke to may have had valid information, but without any evidence to support their claims, it made them little more than theories. By the end of 2019, the Irish Prison Service, along with Crime Stoppers and the Garda, began displaying posters in prisons, appealing for information in this case. While this has yet to yield any workable leads, authorities remain hopeful that they can one day locate Trevor Deely and return to his family with some kind of resolution. Apart from the theories that Trevor Deely had been murdered by a random stranger or gang member, multiple other theories have come and gone over the years. One, which I briefly mentioned earlier in the episode, is that Trevor had somehow ended up in a body of water, where he was potentially washed out to sea. With Dublin being a port town, this is a real possibility, but in the absence of any evidence, it remains just a theory. Some have theorized that Trevor was drunk enough to the point of stumbling into the Grand Canal or River Dodder and drowning, but I personally find that hard to believe. I'm sure that after a night of partying, Trevor was undoubtedly intoxicated at the time that he was going home, but he seemed to be well aware that he had to work the next morning and made the decision to leave home in the middle of a monsoon, so it's clear that he still had some of his faculties remaining in those early morning hours. He even went as far as heading to his office to grab an umbrella nearby, and was set to walk the couple of kilometers home to his apartment. I just find it hard to believe that he would have drunkenly fallen into a river when there's no evidence pointing to that. Maybe if his coworkers had described him as overly drunk or something, I might buy into it, but no one seemed to talk about him that way. Some have speculated that Trevor may have decided to take his own life in those early morning hours, but this is another theory without any credible evidence pointing towards it. Those that knew Trevor believed that he had no reason to take his own life, and was reported as acting happy and sociable in his final known hours. He had not shown any sign of depression in the months or years beforehand, and had well-documented plans for his future. If he had been depressed enough to take his own life, he had done an outstanding job of shielding that from the outside world, which I guess is possible, but without any evidence to support it, it just seems to be another baseless theory to me. Others have theorized that Trevor's disappearance might be linked to his prior voyage to Alaska, which had taken place just weeks before he went missing in November of 2000. Some think that he might have gotten caught up in something in his travels to America, perhaps a love triangle of sorts, which maybe followed him home. Despite these rumors though, his family dismissed these as little more than noise, with them believing that his trip had nothing to do with his disappearance. A final theory that has made some rounds in online circles is that Trevor had been involved in a banking scam with the individuals who later killed him, possibly tied to the informant who came forward in August of 2017. In response to this, Trevor's sister Michelle stated, "He was a simple guy. He was an entry-level IT worker. And yet people have him caught up in this banking scam, or that he was involved in some crazy scheme and that's why he was taken. It's crazy." Trevor's family has battled through a lot of heartache and adversity to get the right facts out, with countless theories and rumors regarding his case coming up over the years. Sadly though, they still don't know which one might be true, with Michael Cryan, the family's Garda liaison officer, telling the press, "The unfortunate thing for the family is that we just don't know what happened. If you can find a body, people can grieve. They have acceptance, they have a place to go, and the longer it goes on, the harder it gets." After 2 decades, this remains a story that is still very much unsolved. However, in this case, at least one thing seems crystal clear. Someone, somewhere, knows something. It has been nearly 22 years since Trevor Deely disappeared. If he was still alive, he'd be almost exactly twice the age he was when he went missing. His family remains just as committed to finding him today as they were when they first heard the heartbreaking news, and have worked tirelessly over the years to keep the mystery fresh in people's minds. They are continuously producing new posters that still exist for anyone with information in this case. "We're entirely reliant on the public," they've stated. "We're entirely reliant on that person or persons who knows what happened to Trevor and where he is. That's all we're interested in, where he is. It's not even what happened, it's where he is. We are appealing to those who, for whatever reason, have not been in a position to come forward to date to reconsider contacting us." Anyone with information in this case can contact any Garda station to help this struggling family find the truth. They remain hopeful that someone somewhere can recall one tiny piece of information about where they were, maybe what they saw or heard, on the morning of December 8th, 2000. If so, they can help resolve the mystery of what happened to this family's son, brother, and friend. Until such a time, the story of Trevor Deely will remain unresolved.